everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanjay Kulkarni. As you have seen the small slide on me, I'm having a 25 plus years of the experience in business strategy, growth strategy, financial planning and analysis. My expertise is scaling the business, turnaround, and making it financially worthy. I have worked in Indian companies. I have also worked in multinational companies. I have worked in India also. I have worked for a decade overseas also. And in last 3 years, I'm associated with Vadhwani Foundation. And it is my pleasure to work with Vadhwani Foundation as well as all the entrepreneurs who are the part of the system, because that gives the additional pleasure, besides the career achievement, working with the business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, and solving the problems they are facing it. And I'm very happy to be a part of the Vadhwani ecosystem. Thank you very much. That is my short introduction.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you very much. All thanks to you. You bring a lot of experience into the system, and when people come and talk from their own experience, right, that makes a lot of difference. We can all go and read pender of information across the platforms, but when people like you come and share your knowledge, make our entrepreneurs give them some hands-on experience, that creates a lot of difference.
Yeah, it's my pleasure again. Thank you.
All right. So with this, I think we can start with our presentation. As I said, we'll be having somewhere around 10 to 12 participants today.
Yeah.
So we are expecting a couple of more, probably in within 1 or 2 minutes. In the meantime, you can start with
Yeah.
workshop.
Yeah, thanks, Navid. Thank you very much. And thanks all of you for giving me the opportunity. I will try my best to utilize my entire experience and my knowledge for your benefit. So this lift off workshop is about the working capital and growth financing. And the working capital and the finance is one of the major hurdle what we understand in businesses, right? So if we understand that rightly, if we analyze that rightly, if we prepare that ahead of the time, then I would convince you end of the session that it is not a major constraint. But if you plan it well, if you thought it is as good as your product strategy, as good as your sales and marketing strategy, this financial strategy will support your vision and ambition. So funding growth without running out of the cash. So the one of the major takeaway what I want you to take it is that you can do your growth, you can scale your growth without running out of the cash. So let's say there are the several things we have lined up for you. Why the growth, cash problems, working capital fundamentals, as well as how to improve the working capital cycles. And let's understand one by one component out of it. The timing here is for myself rather than you, so that I could cover things for you in a great detail. But don't worry about that one. We will make it sure that every questions of your considered yet. Okay. So let's see where the when I said to you earlier, product strategy and sales strategy, and why should there should be a place for the financial strategy also, right? So growth is a business decision, cash is the consequence, so if we take that as a fundamental line, then you would understand ki, really there are the consequences. So let's see, put this mind map into your perspective. Okay, it is not only about the working capital, it is not only about the cash. There are several things are related when we speak about the cash, when we speak about the working capital. The growth, revenue I mentioned, can be capacity and market moves. Cash need is there, discipline is required, funding gap is always there with the internal cash calculation. Financing mix is also important. You take loan, you take equity, you take various type of the different instruments, right? Bankability when you go to the investor and when you go to the bank. So what is required here is that business is first and then finances follows. And probably you would understand this part. When you go to the bank or investor, they first look to your business success, and then later the financing part of it. So why growth creates a cash flow problems? I don't want to read it and make you a student, but let's understand it one by one. So that because any growth creates comes with the horizontal expansion or vertical expansion. When a horizontal expansion happens, you have more and more customers on in your customer master, right? Then obviously that leads to the more inventory, that leads to the more production, that leads to the more receivables. And the one of the major problem in the receivables is that how to collect it, right? And that is really you are stuck up mainly because of two reasons. One, the market practice, whatever the market practice is there, you say, I want to follow it. And second thing is also you are worried upon the more nurtured relationship with the customer when you start to follow that one. And then why that shouldn't be the case, that will look into it. So new customer creates more order, that cash impact is inventory built up. And let me tell you, I will spend little time here, to make it the concept clear. See, inventory built up is your own decisions, right? I mean, you have a lot of expectation from the customer, a lot of expectation from those orders. You want to build up fast, you want to deliver it fast, you want no lead time to the customer, so you make it inventory happening, if not in finished good, at least in the raw material component, right? And then what happened, that inventory builds up, the customers cycle, sales cycle, or customers order cycle doesn't match to your expectation, and that your internal decisions many times leads to the inventory built up because of two reasons. One, the conservative thinking, and second is that what if I lose the opportunity of this customer. So definitely that is a scary thing, but how to handle that one, that also we can have the strategy for that one. Dealer expansion, wider market, credit is required whenever you go to the distributor, because that's how the market practice is there, right? Export order, higher revenue, longer cash cycle. Export require a longer lead time. The sales cycle is longer. You have to procure material and sell it, ship it, and get it back. So, and then quality and the type of the material is again different. So that also create a longer cash cycle. So anything you put it here, it creates the growth is happening, but it creates a cash flow problem. A Pune-based precision engineering company receives 5 crore PO from large OEM. Before collecting payment, it must buy raw material to ramp up production, hire temporary workers, creating an immediate working capital need. So growth creates working capital need well before cash is collected. Okay, we'll have the interactive session. This one, I will throw you some questions to you to think over. So don't worry, this is not one way. The growth paradox, companies growing by 50%, revenue, inventory requirement rising fast, receivable increasing with new buyers, cash shortages despite strong sales. Company B has a stable revenues, comfortable cash position. So that is what the starting, why the growth creates a cash problem, because when you are scaling up, when you are growing up, it eats a lot of cash. Okay, but that is a good solution, I would say, than not having a cash at all, right? Uh, so let's say every founder faces the same cash challenge. Now there are the cohort. We have the cohort here from a different background, right? So manufacturing capacity expansion, the challenge is the inventory investment, right? In export cases, new country entry, extended receivables are the problems. D2C, consumer focused companies, marketing push, inventory and pre-spend. Lot of you have to spend a lot of things before actually your customer buys the goods. There are the inventories in D2C e-commerce platform. You have to put a lot of things in the inventory, isn't it? So that creates a cash problem. SaaS companies, customer acquisition is the biggest hurdle in the SaaS companies. And when you acquire the customer, then again retaining that customer for a longer time, up to estimated customer lifetime, is very important. So it has a higher onboarding cost. Agri-tech companies, seasonal demand, inventory procurement. You have to procure the inventory at least for 6 months, 6 to 9 months earlier, depending on the season, which season you are buying up, right? So that creates a working capital problem. We generally say this is the market practice, but yes, market practice. If you follow the market practice, the cash is required. That one. So ask every founder to write one growth ambition for the next 24. Then identify the cash requirement it creates. So you have the small assignment here in your mind map, right? Write a one growth ambition for next 24 months, and then you could try to find out key, where would be my cash consuming, where would be my challenge coming up. So different industries, same problem. Every growth plan needs a cash plan. Roadmap of today's workshop. This is fine. I'm skipping it. Okay. Now take this canvas. This is for everyone, and then I have put it some more canvas for cohort part of it. Each D2C export all those win. But this is the generic part of working capital and growth finance. One page canvas. Growth initiative. There are many growth initiative. We take it during our scaling of the business, and we don't know what we are taking up until we finalize it. There could be a new product, there could be a new channel expansion, there could be export, right? Anything else. What it consumes inventory, receivable, capex, market entry spend. Cash goes out well before it comes in, isn't it? You have to build inventory, that we saw it earlier. Working capital needs, inventory plus receivables minus payable, that is your working capital need. So when you increase your inventory, you have to procure more. You have to procure means that your payables are increasing, right? And then when you are selling it more, we also know that the receivables are increasing it. That we saw it in earlier slide, right? So all these arrows are going up. Okay, though payable is in negative, but all these arrows are going up. So what does it mean? It means that the trend is increasing working capital. Cash conversion cycle, where your money sits and how long every day removed it cash release. How many days of DSOs are there? We'll look into that. I have separate PPT to make you understand very easily. Funding gap, then this creates a funding gap. Cash flow view. Cash flow is very important when we don't do very disciplinedly in our businesses. Everything is mind map. Everything is in mind. No, it has to be on the paper. It has to be on the Excel sheet. It has to be in your finance person's book. He has to on the top of the situation. He has to come back to you. Every time the stretch is happening. And that is how the real finance works. Financing option. What are the options? Cash credit and the term loan, export and bill finance. It these things because you are handling it. But there can be more financing option. We'll look into it. Bank and investor ready. Today, banks are asking you more questions than your business partner is asking, right? They are asking business model. They are asking your bankability. They are asking your growth potential. They are really asking you really what you are forecasting. Are you going to grow that way? Because now banks also learn from the economic development, and they understand which business model, which business is having a good future. So they ask you, and then the action plan. Action plan is nothing but your business plan, your strategic plan, your financial plan, your marketing plan. You put it all this together for the bank, for the investor, for yourself, for the board review, and that becomes your action plan. Okay, so this is the general master canvas, and depending on the sector, some things will change it in this part. So fill every box before you ask for the limit. Business first, finance follows. So now here, business growth creates a cash need. That was just to give some exercise to founders' mind. Now here, the real challenge started. What will break if you grow 50%? We say 2x growth, 3x growth. What will break if you grow 50%? Now we understand the background. Key growth creates a cash problem. 50% growth means once inventory built up is there. 50% growth means that receivable built up is there. 50% growth means that there will be more procurement, right? And then what if these things doesn't turn up to your expectation? So think about it. What will break if you grow 50%? right? And that is where your answer lies for the financial strategy. So every new order is funded by long before it is paid by your customer, right? Particularly take an example in export, because in export we are disciplined with the packing credit advances from the bank. In packing credit, what happen whenever the order comes in from the customer, we apply for the bank, we get that funding to procure the material, and then we have our own lead time to manufacture it, and then deliver it and ship it, right? And then getting the confirmation of airway bill and submitting it to the bank, right? So and then after that the credit terms start with the customer. So anyway between 60 days to 90 days period is passed, right, in those export bills. You have to start procuring almost 2 months ahead of time at least, right, in export cases. So what it means that your customer is going to pay you 30 days later and you have to procure 60 days earlier. So it means that total net working capital you could be required 90 days, unless you have the very good payable system. But if you are importing something as a part of the procurement, then you have to pay in advance. If there is a local customer available, then you have the credit period. At least you can have some relief there, right? So business growth engine, so there is a market opportunity. Based on market opportunity, we say that, okay, we want to do the customer acquisition. We say that, okay, we are going to add 20 dealer in 2026, remaining 6 months, right? Because that is how the X growth comes in. So it means that more inventory. It more means that increase in working capital, right? Export to new country. There is a new sales order coming from the export. Export to new country, longer receivable. Export finances the cash requirement, right? Then you have the production delivery, you launch new product, then that the production and delivery, you need a tooling and inventory for the new product, correct? So product funding is required. And remember that whenever there is a new product, generally the production team as well as the quality inspection team suffers it, because things are yet to settle down. Higher sales team, salary, travel, operating cash is increased much, right? You start noticing that petty cash average number is going up, so don't ask how much loan, ask which business decision is creating the cash need, right? Revenue growth does not equal cash growth. Why? Let's take example here that 20 crore current revenue target is 30 crore. You are increasing 10 crore revenue in this next 6 months, so what it comes is that, cash requirement rises. Revenue rises, EBITDA improves, working capital increases, CapEx requirement increases because additional 10 crore growth require CapEx unless you have the idle capacity, right? Export investment is also required. So what is happening is that revenue is growing, but along with that one, the cash requirement is also growing. So one textile exporter wins an overseas order, revenue rises, but fabric production, freight, export credit terms consume cash month before proceeds realization arrives. So revenue grows first, cash requirement grows faster than earlier, right? Hope I'm resonating you, all the participants, then where does that money goes, those money goes into the inventory one time, and it could be one time, it could be recurring. Receivables are recurring, sales hiring is one time also and recurring also, machinery is one time, export marketing is also one time and recurring. So what happen is that we feel that this is the one time decision. No, that doesn't happen. Our many one time decisions are having a recurring issues, and that is what generally our thought process is not tuned to. We take a decision, at that moment, yes, we convince it, and now this is a go time, right? But here your financial department, your FP&A person, your finance person need to be very, very top of the line to see that what are the recurring impacts of these decisions, and that is where the real quality decisions are required. So each founder can list their three largest growth investment and identify which require working capital versus long-term finance. I will get back to you with the Excel exercise later. and it has that sheet where you can put the things in perspective. So growth capital is consumed in layers. Each layer needs a different financing instrument. Every month when we take a review, we try to find out where the money gone. This payment has come, but where it is stuck up, right? But many times it's stuck up in the invisible things which you generally not notice it, and those things are these recurring things, where it becomes quite difficult to understand it. Calculate your funding gap. So this is the exercise for you after the session. You can see what are the funding gaps you are having it, and by utilizing this template you can find out your gap on yourself, or you can ask your finance person to work around this. An engineering SME reduce inventory errors and improve collection, lowering its external funding requirement without changing the revenue target. And that is one of the question: how do you release more cash without borrowing, right? So now we are slowly moving into the how the growth creates a cash, to how we are going to find that gap, and how that gap we are going to address it. So a calculated funding gap, not a gut feel, is what lenders will respect. And that is why what happened, that you need to have this on your hand, right? We have more exercises coming up with the figures. So this is not only a conceptual or my lecture. You will see the practical things. So business first, finance follows. Let's see the founder thinking. What should we? What is the traditional thinking? We are not going into that one because that has created problems. But what is the founder thinking? Build a growth plan first. Now, a lift up workshop has given you the business plan template, isn't it? So what does it mean? That mean is that you have to create a growth plan first. How you are going, where you are growing, whether you are adding channel, whether you are launching new product, whether you are having a regional expansion, whether you are having a international expansion, whether you are having a product mix, or whether you are having a hero product, right? Depending on those one, you build a growth plan, and then the potential of this one with a market feasibility, right? Calculate funding scientifically. I have shown it earlier also, and most of the slides will follow what is mean by these scientific calculations. Business drives finance. The business follows finance. Same way business drives finance. Working capital is growth capability. Working capital is the most required item. When you say that I have the product ready, I have the market ready, I have the salespeople ready, you need to add working capital as another capability, and that is where we don't think that way. And in a new way of the founders thinking, which lift up program is emphasizing is, so you have to add that working capital is a growth capability in founder thinking. So define the business strategy first, right? Financing instrument will follow naturally. So now let's say that we will simplify the working capital more for you with some figures. Question is, does higher revenue automatically mean more cash? Right. So ask this question to yourself. We spent the last 5 7 minutes on this part of it, right? So does higher revenue automatically mean more cash? What is our conclusion? I mean, don't tell me, just have it in your mind. You will find it out automatically, right? Based on the background discussion. So working capital is not an accounting number. It is how much cash your growth consumes it. That is where the one of the founder thinking, as I mentioned, you working capital capability. We see that funding gap. We see that we have short of funding. But actually, what we have to term it around, pivot it around, saying that, this is the cash my growth is consuming. So it is not a gap. It is a necessary quotient required in the business to comfortably grow, smoothly grow, so that my all the decisions can be placed smoothly and growth happens smoothly. If you see this as a funding issue, then what happened that you stop taking some decision, you stop taking delayed some decision, you stop hiring, and as soon as you stop or delayed hiring, your growth suffers it, isn't it? That's a way we are in the situation, right? But if you really gone back to what principles we have discussed it, you will find out that okay, that is not the case. My growth, my ambition, my growth require capital cushioning. you know. So working capital in one picture, let's say, there is a customer order. You are buying a raw material, then you are sending it to manufacturer, you are inventorizing it, then you are dispatching it, you are invoicing it, then there is a customer credit, cash delayed, and collection and cash return. So there is a time lag. And what are the business activity happens in, look here, this is very important right hand table, where the either cash out or cash locked is happening many times, and the cash in is coming at the last time, in the later part of the time scale. Buy material, cash out. Manufacturing, cash locked. Dispatch, cash still locked. Okay. Customer credit, cash delayed. Why it does 90 days instead of 45 days? Collection, cash in. How can collections improve? Because look how many activities are happening before the cash is coming up, right? And the problem here is that we see this is a part of our functional structure. Okay, purchase works that way, finance works that way, sales work that way, right? But finally it is a team, right? And if we really have a very sound policy, if we really have found out, find the gap and make improvement at every stage, then probably you would reduce those activities, you will get cash upfront, and then you can improve your situation. Let's take a customer credit. Why 90 days instead of 45 days? If we ask that question to us every time we sign with the new customer, let's say, because existing customer changing terms is very this long and negotiated, and long things happening. But for the new customer credit, you could ask that question, why, right? So that your working capital improve it. Working capital is the cash your business must fund while it turns an order into your money. So understanding the cash conversion cycle, I mentioned you that will show you the figures. And here the cash release, the question is there, can you create a 1 crore cash without borrowing, right? And I will show you in the next slide, you can create that one. So let's say that your inventory you are holding up for 67 days in this example. You can calculate your inventory in your business. Receivable days are 45 days, and payable days are 45 days. So payable are a credit, we enjoy it. So that's why it becomes minus. So let's say, and then the cash conversion cycle here comes 67 days. You know, so it means any order, any business comes to you, it requires 67 days to realize the cash, right? So what it means that you need 2 months of the capital, working capital always. So there is a formula, okay? So inventory, you have to reduce it. Receivable, you have to reduce it. Payable, you have to extend it a little bit. How? Take example here. Now 20 crore revenue and 67 days of CCC, cash conversion cycle. It means 3.67 crore of the working capital, right? And how much it comes to? 16%, more than 16%, isn't it? 18%, right? 18% is too much, correct? That way. So that's why that reducing inventory and receivable is very important. A food processing company grows revenue from 20 crore to 30 crore with the same CCC. Working capital rises from 3.67 crore to 5.51 crore purely because more inventory and receivable must be financed. So what happens here? Instead of 20 crore, if you are 30 crore, your working capital grows faster. And here is the example. How you can improve your release 1 crore cash without borrowing. And here is the example. Now you have the current inventory days 67 days, receivable days 45 days, payable days 45 days, and we seen in last slides 3.67 crore. Now you improved, from 67 days to you improved to 60, from receivable days 45 days to 40, and payable days from 45 to 46. Look at that figure. It's a gentle 1 day. We are not penalizing here the pay suppliers. It is a gentle 1 day, and your cash conversion cycles comes down from 67 days to 54 days. That is a 13 days of the saving. And look at this one. you are 20 for 20 crore, you were utilizing 3.6 crore working capital, and now you are utilizing 2.96 crore working capital. How much is freed? 71 lakh rupees. Okay. So you ask yourself that question, you would definitely release more money without borrowing. These are the locked up money, right? Now I understand that part, these are so many things involved in systems and purchases and this one. So this is not a one day thing. So you have to see that one key, my cash dependency on the bank, on the external people has to come down. I have to release the cash from my internal operations, and you start working on that. So we help we help the entrepreneurs to release this cash, how to do it systematically. And we don't do it all things at once. We first go for the inventory, then we work on the receivable, and then we work on the payable. So in a 6 months time, or let's say at the short, we have done it for some companies in a 1 quarter time. So in 1 month, with 3 months also, we can work on this part of it. So in Pune, manufacturing example is that a machine manufacturer cuts finished goods inventory by 1 week and introduce milestone billing. CCC falls, dependency on bank working capital reduces. Right. So release cash without releasing increasing sales. Inventory days, say there are 67 days, now 60 days. Receivable days from 45 to 40. Payable days, just a gentle addition. And CCC is now 54 days. So external funding need is reduced. And the cheapest source of growth financing, the cash already trapped inside your business. Now let me little bit comfort you with your probable thinking that, okay, does it compromise my business? Does it compromise my customer? Does it compromise my lead times and opportunity? No, that doesn't happen it. Because see, these are not the accounting number solution, or these are neither the our ad hoc decision to reduce the inventory. No, that doesn't happen it. What happens it in a very scientific, we see the scientific calculation, right? In that scientific calculation, what happens is that it doesn't do any ad hoc thinking. It starts from it today. Let's say you have 67 days of the inventory, and then we will work out. You may say that, "Ki, I want 60 days, or I want 55 days." So we start working on today, and it takes time to reach to that level, right? Because there are EOQs, there are MOQs, right? With the suppliers, and agreement sign it. So we look into everything, all those things, and we make it sure that it happens gradually, it happens incrementally, without penalizing any customer, without penalizing any supplier. And by penalizing, if any penalization is there, it is our inefficiencies. Yeah, we identify
So,
the inefficiencies and we penalize those inefficiencies, and the decision making. How to improve that decision making. Okay, so
Sanjay,
don't. Yeah. So
Sanjay, there is a question in between.
yeah.
Does it make any change if it is a service business?
Uh, Yes. In service business, what happen ki the majority of the working capital is required for the operating part of it, because in service business generally the manpower is the main driver, right? Instead of the raw material, manpower is the right this one, right? So in a service business, generally service business, what happen ki there is no inventory hold up. If anything hold up is you are converting the service requirement coming from the customer and delivering that part of it. Let's say in my consultancy business, if it comes to me, and if I take it 2 or 3 weeks to deliver it, then obviously what it means that my associates are locked up in those work, right? But if I do it differently, I have the pre-work, I have the processes systems ready, and to make it from the 15 days to less than 10 days, then I am freeing my that working capital, because then I am utilizing those manpower to the additional revenue. So in service business, what happens? How much additional revenue you bring in per employee, that makes you the releasing the working capital. Because all your if people are you could there are two ways. You could reduce number of people, or you could increase the efficiency of the each employee, and that's how that things works in the service industry. You take example in the charter accountancy. You know what they do it. Their efficiency in the auditing period is very high. You know, the turnaround is very high of the each audit. What they do it, they make it very efficient. That part of it. You know, so anything of a service that you have your turnaround time is need to be very high. Okay, and I have the canvas for the service industry also.
Perfect.
Growth financing. Okay, so now one thing. I'm showing up you now the Excel file to understand you, and you could work around the your calculations.
I hope everyone is keeping your workbooks handy, right? And please see, because this is, if you see closely, there is multiple sheets in the document to make it easier for you to bifurcate your thought process. So Sanjay made it very, clear and crisp. You can see multiple sheets in the document, and based on the information, you can just go to the respective. Like for example, right now we are on the finance business plan on
Yeah.
your workbook.
Yeah, and reason why I prepared this PPT Excel file, because generally you all people receive the Excel file from your finance people, you know, your sales people, right? So many times you have more comfort in Excel file, right? You could do your own additional calculation and take the comfort, right? So that is the one. So this is the business plan template issued by NEN to all of you. So you can add that things in Excel file also here, all those things. So your business template is ready in Excel file. And then what you can do is that I will go to dashboard later, but profit and loss funding account, you know. So this is the profit and loss account. You know it. Generally, your finance people generally show it this to you. Generally, your CAs shows this to you. So there is a revenue, there is a COGS, gross profit, EBITDA, working capital needs, you know, capex, hiring, total funding gap. So this is the way it is calculated about it. So this comes very closer to your thinking, what you have seen it, what you have practiced it, you know. And take an example here that why growth creates a cash flow problem. You know, so in this case, if you see the example here, in this example, if you see that month by month, the first month and second month, the company is comfortable with the surplus cash. In third month, it is flattening out, and in later fourth, fifth, and sixth month, the cash flow, the growth created the cash flow. The cash flow is negative. Why? Because company is almost growing by 50% here, from 1,000 to 1,500, 1,500 to 2,000, 2,000 to 2,500 to 3,000 and 3,500, right? So it is, if you take the 1 month to 6 months, it is a 3.5x growth, right? Isn't it? So that growth creates a cash problem to you. And if you see that inventory, look at the inventory, how the inventory build-up is happening, how the cash inflow is moving. And that is why what happened ki these are the invisible effect. You don't see it unless you are a very much going into detail, that one. So this is one example here, and there are some notes for you. You can discuss this with your finance people also. You know, what happens when you move from one line to another line. And this is a good way to think about it. Your finance people should think about this one. They should be on the top of situation. They should come back to you whenever the things are under stress. There should be a 24 weeks cash flow statement. They should be on top of the situation, so that will create any negative cash flow after, let's say, 10 weeks. that you will be able to see it today, and then the finance person has to act on that part. And when that is not solving up, it should come to you, and then rather than coming everything at 11th hour, you could plan it. You could ask some of your key customers to pay it little early, or you could utilize your bank facility, or you could see that what are the other options are available. Because many times the 11th hour things come up, okay, we don't have the funds, and that creates a problem for you also, because you are focusing on the business growth, you are focusing on the customer interaction, with supporting them on a very ambitious level. And suppose some these things are coming up, then it is a issue for understanding it, how do we managing our company well, right? So that is one part. Now let's say cash conversion cycle, and we spoke about this 67 days example, correct? And 3.67 crore cash. Take this example now. I have mentioned which is this company and what they are doing it. So this is a RTC, can put it inventory conversion. So it is a RTC company. And what is happening here? So look at it. In the stable scenario, they are having a 67 days of the inventory, and they are having a net working capital of 4.41 crore. When that improve it from the 67 days to 54 days, how? We seen that example from 67 days inventory to 60 days, receivable collection from 45 days to 40 days, and payables from 45 days to 46 days, a gentle 1 day increase. What happens? They are releasing almost 6.9 million, 69 lakh rupees cash, right? So this is an improved situation. Now what happens ki when you take the decision without understanding the financial implication, when you take decisions only to to take care of the customers, sometime you take a decision considering that ki this opportunity is available, and I need to secure it any cost, right? Sometime happen it, right? We do that kind of the business decisions, right? In that case, what happens? Let's say our inventory moves from 67 to 72 days. In case of the import, we are very, very worried about the importing component, right? So we import it more than required it, correct? That happens it. Receivable collection goes to 60 days. Some of the customer we have given the extra terms, because strategic customer is there, because this is a new customer, because this is a new product, because this is agreement is there, because we are looking more share of wallet, right? Those things happens it, and then you increase the from 45 to days to 60 days. And payables are same way, because when you are favoring to customer, remember, indirectly you have to favor to your supplier also, because that time that ecosystem developer that kind of the business decision making, right? So something that happens, and or even if you keep it same, what happens here? Look at it. 1 crore 13 lakh rupees cash deficit. So we if we don't improve it, it goes to 88 days. And how this decision making, a small decision making creates a cash flow problem. Many times sales wants to extend a more payment terms to customer. Many times sales want to give more discount to the customer, right? Now remember, discount is nothing but the profit, and profit is nothing but a coming down to cash, right? Right. So in that case, what happens is that that decisions should be based on certain criteria which should not affect to the financing scenarios. And suppose you are taking this decision in inventory or receivable, some strategic customer are there, we agree, because that has to be there, otherwise business growth doesn't happen it, right? So in that case, what happened that he identify those receivables separately, identify those inventory separately, and make it sure कि that happens to that exception. Because if you say that कि we are going to stock more, then the purchase start procuring more, right? Because that is the downside, that is the impact happens it of the decision making. So you have to be very sure. One. Second thing, your finance person has to be on the top of all those things to help you, to make you understand this part continuously. And I can tell you one more thing. Now that with the AI and lot many data intelligence software, this part become very easy. It doesn't require too much of the expertise also. Yes, data quality has to be there, understanding has to be there, but this is quite easy. So look at this one. From 6.9 million to 1.13. So we are almost creating a 2 crore gap. If we and many times it happens, we take initiatives, we improve it, but later we again fall back to the same thing, right? And that same thing means you are creating a 2 crore of the gap, right? And this is just coming off the several decision you are taking along with the customer, along in the decision making, along with the sales, right? Okay, so keep this in mind. You can utilize this template. You can put your own numbers, and everything is linked. So you can calculate your own. And if you require additional help, yeah, we Vadhanis are always available to support you. Right. Then I mentioned you about the budget. Right. So this is the budget. This budget has to be prepared for 24 months. I have just prepared it for 6 months, but this has to prepare for the 24 weeks. 24 weeks means 6 months. And this is the budget, but this has to be in weekly. And you will find out that, what is the gap coming out. Here, look at this, your cash balance. Okay. And then what happens is that these graphs tell you that based on your cash requirement, how much loan is required. Now there is a graph I have mentioned, put it a sensitivity analysis. If 0% payment is late, then you maximum required 1 crore 41 lakh rupees loan. But your, let's say 20% of the payments are late from the customer, you require 1 crore 20 lakhs. So max loan is 141, and no loan is minimum loan is 80. So as many customers delay the payment, your loan requirements increases along with this line, right? And then the maximum loan versus the change in sales. And this is where, when we go to the bank objectives to these proposals, right? So you could put it down here, your amount, timeline, and then I have additionally created some comments also to help you take care. In budget also, I have created some comments and some insight, to make understand it more, to make your finance people understand more. And then this is the dashboard. So you could have the dashboard, current revenue, target EBITDA margin, total funding gap, and how the things are moving, growth and profitability, operating cycle and reconciliation, and your how the monthly your DSOs are progressing it, current versus actual. And then you will understand that where you have to take the actions. This is the net cash flow, and this is your loan surplus. Here what happened, the cash surplus is stagnating here, and loan is increasing. Okay, so you can utilize this file, this one. At this point, anybody having any questions?
No, perfect, sir.
Yeah, Kumarsan.
This is regarding the same one which I was talking, which one of our cohort talking about service industry. Will
Yeah.
this be applicable for the same, since we are mostly into manufacturing and service?
Yeah. See, manufacturing this entirely applicable, for service also this entirely applicable. The only thing in service what happens is that you have the choice to turn around time more quickly, right? Because you have a flexibility to utilize your manpower. So what happened that in service industry, unless and until you are tied up with any agreement, you can generate cash more quickly than the manufacturing companies. And I have the canvas for the service industry. I will show you that one. But also in the service industry, the business decisions are the same impact there. Let's take an example that you are taking some of the AMCs. and AMCs, right? And in that, what happen is that many times the many customer insist for the one time payment, end of the one or 50%. But same thing, if you take it every month before the month start, then what happen? Your cash flow problems go away, because you are getting a payment in advance before you service anything, any billing, any hour to your customer. And that is a good practice in the market also, for the AMCs are concerned. That is one part. Second part is also that that you are not you are not creating too much tools and inventories while delivering the services, because that is where the capital is locked many times. So in short, services, yes, same decision making, some issues are there, only thing the component changes there. Right. Take example, when your people are traveling far away to give the service, your travel bill increases, correct? In that case, if you are giving the online service, virtual service, then your tool cost increases, right? In service industry also, acquisition of the customer is the one of the important part, and that we have seen it in SaaS, right? So that is the biggest part, acquisition of the customer. And then the customer retention is the another part, where you have to provide lot many support services for that customer retention, correct? In manufacturing, what happen is that you can lock that service, that customer, with your system, with your product. So it is very difficult for the customer move away from the one vendor to another vendor. But in service, what happened that could probably no option is not available. So that's why customer retention takes more time and more resources in service industry.
Thank you, sir. Kindly share the Excel sheet if possible once it is done. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm closing down the Excel sheet right now, sharing. But if you have any questions, you can ask. So yeah. So here we are here. So growth financing, how much should you actually finance? Now, the growth financing, one of the option available in a market besides the bank loan. When the company grows it, when the business grows is there are the other than the banks, there are the equity financing is also available. One part. Second part is that even in the banks, how much loan should be taken, and how much is the financing should happen it. So take example how that happens it. Growth financing begins with the growth strategy. So you have the vision, you have the growth strategy, you have a revenue plan, you have a capacity plan, you have the working capital, you have the funding requirement, and that is how the growth financing happens it. So here that we seen this part, this table right hand side, each growth initiative has a business requirement, and each business requirement need to be supported by the financing, right? New dealers inventory, it should be supported by working capital, export expansion supported by export finance, capacity expansion supported by term loan. Why this is required? Why this type of the funding is required? Why I do not have the one cash account and I do whatever I want it? Generally that questions you have in mind, but reason is that simple. See, working capital is a short term funding requirement. Any customer, you may receive a payment between 60 to 90 days, so that is a short term. Let's take example of a capacity expansion. Expansion is the long term financing, correct? Because you are going to add 50 crore of the capex today, and the ROI is going to pay back to you in 5 years in a different time zone and different cash flow size, right? So then what happen is that if you finance that long term requirement of the capital with a short term, then there would be a problem, because there is not only a timing mismatch, but there would be a greatly continuously future mismatches also there. So that's why what happened ki export expansion has to be does in a way export finance. Why? Because if you take the export finance from the bank, then it has a particular timeline. In that 90 days timeline, or whenever the customer pay between 90 days to 120 days, you take the loan, you make a pre-shipments efforts, you ship it, delivered it, and you get a payment, and then the bank loan is automatically adjusted, and the balance money contribution plus your profit comes back to your bank account, right? So that is the right type of the financing. Working capital is the right time financing because generally the your working capital need is not more than 60 to 90 days, right? So that should be funded by short term funding. New sales team should be funded by internal cash. You cannot take loan to pay the expenses, right? So any new hiring must create a new sales. Any new sales create must create a profitability. Any new sales created profitability has to be converted into the internal cash, right? So so what happen is that ki there are ways and means ki what is your requirement right now, and what financing you need it. And that is why when you speak to the investor will ask you many questions ki what is exactly your requirement. So financing is driven by business objective, not by banking products. So let's say we are coming back to that table again. Working capital is a recurring need. So that is supported by the cash credit working capital limit by the banks. Machinery is the capex, term loan, 3 year, 5 year, 7 year term loan. Export development is one time as well as a recurring. So export finance is ideal for that one. Digital systems, one time again, that a kind of the cash. When we are speaking about the service company, right, just now. So digital system could be one of the backbone of the service companies, and that is as good as the capex, one time capex. So that could be either with the internal cash, or it could be with the term loan, you know. So it depends on which part you are doing it, and there can be several requirement: revenue growth requirement, inventory requirement, receivable requirement, capex requirement, people and tech requirement, funding requirement, so that is how this flow works. Funding gap calculations, you can calculate the business growth, you can calculate the funding requirement, you can calculate how much internal cash I'm going to generate in this business, existing cash, and what is the funding, external funding requirement. This is called a cash flow statement, and we do it in finance, and this is required in the bank also. So this is a short brief statement here, and in Excel file also this is there. So you could work out your numbers here, like in a right hand table. Total growth investment in how much, less internal cash generate how much, less existing cash, less promoter contribution, less external funding required. If I give the example here, let's say total growth investment, you require 1 crore of the growth investment from the bank, and out of that you are generating a 10 lakh rupees of the cash, right, internally. Less you have the 2 lakh rupees of cash. So 1 crore minus 12 lakh rupees is the 88 crore. Out of that 88 crore, sorry, 88 lakhs, you are promoter is putting its contribution of 10 lakh rupees, and balance is the funding requirement, right? And so this is the way you can calculate it. Your own contribution also had to be added, and your internal cash accrual has to be added it also there. And that's where banks scrutinize more any proposal. Okay, how much internal cash generation is happening? If we are forecasting very ambitiously and scaling the growth, what they expect is that they expect then cash to internal cash generation to be on a higher side, right? But many times we show the higher top line, but not the bottom line. And that is where some of the right modeling, financial modeling, right financial forecasting is not there. So this has to be calculated rightly. So every 1 rupee retained through stronger profitability directly reduces the external borrowing. Choosing the right financing, we spoke about this one. What is your requirement, whether the inventory building is a requirement? Sometime it happens We sign a contract with the OEM, and OEM want inventory at door delivery, based on their requirement. So that time, if we have that kind of requirement, we could build inventory, right? Sometimes the production schedule or lead time is higher, so we could build inventory. Receivable, the duration is short, so invoice and export finance. Now for the receivable, besides the normal working capital financing, there are the factoring tools. There are the trades tool, TREDS, where you can discount your receivables and get the funding. Machinery is a long-term part of the capex building, capacity building. So there we need a typical instrument of term loan that could be 3 years, 7 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Product development, it is a mix because product development has a long cycle, and it has both the things. It could be the working capital also. It could be also the long-term financing. If you are putting some IPs, if you are putting some technology behind that product development, if you are adding some R&D part of this one, then that could come from the capex. But the remaining part, like the prototype, like the pilot conversion, testing, certifications, rollout, marketing, for that part, that is a part of the expenses, and then that should be happen with the internal cash generation. Marketing expansion, we see it in sales team hiring in the last slide, right? Sales and marketing are the operating expenses, so that should be generated through the internal cash. So you have to ask you a question: what asset I am financing? The answer tells you which instrument fits into it. So this is a very self assessment. You can do it, and you can find it out. So majority of the things you could find it of yourself. Yes, now machinery is there. I identified term loan. What is further, right? Yeah, that question is valid, and then we have to work on that part. But mostly you will understand this part. Ki, okay, what is my requirement? So growth financing blueprint, growth strategy, refined growth objectives, the business template given, issued by NEN to you, and we have just saw that in a Excel file. That is your growth strategy. Define the growth objectives. Revenue forecast, plan it. Revenue forecast, quantify top line growth. How much product, how much customer, how much region, how many channels, developers. In case of the B2C companies and D2C companies, how many consumers, how many e-commerce platform you are going to target it. That part is there. Working capital plan, once you have the revenue forecast plan, automatically that turns into the gross margin, that gives you the contribution margin in case of the startup, and in case of the manufacturing companies, that gives you the EBITDA and profitability, right? Then after that, when the working capital plan is there, and we have extensively seen what is working capital: inventory plus receivables minus payables. Sorry, this should be minus payables. But anyway, plus is also okay because payables figures are negative. Expansion budget, capex, people, marketing. Generally, this expansion budget, manufacturing companies does a very good expansion budget as far as the capex is concerned. Startup does a very good expansion budget as far as the people and marketing is concerned, because majority in startup and service industry, people and marketing consumes more resources. Funding gap calculation, total need minus internal cash. We just seen this template, right? This one, so based on this template, you can see the funding gap, calculate that funding gap. Financing mix, match instrument to asset. We have just seen this part, right? Which is the typical instrument, and then that is the financing mix. You can match it up. Monthly monitoring, actual versus plan every month. We have seen that part in Excel file also. Okay, how that 24 weeks or 6 monthly plan helps you in monitoring that one. And please train your finance people. Ask them, ki, I want a weekly update on the cash flow and monthly update on my all the things in detail. That will create some kind of the financial capability within your company, within your businesses. And I will surely assure you, one day you will surprise yourself, ki, by just having this small habit, you have turned your business, your team into a kind of very disciplined culture. And then what happen is that you believe in your team. Yes, my team handles my financial strategy very well, and now I'm free to take the some decisions which require more capital, right? That is possible with this kind of template and with this kind of focus. Review and correct, course correct before gap widens, iterate it. See, in a startup industry, the iteration is the part of the culture. It is a part of the continuing the business, right? In manufacturing industry, the iteration automatically happens it because customer asks you so many things. There are the quality gaps, there are the confirmation gap, there are the certification gaps, there are the documentation gaps happens it when goes to collection of the payment, right? So then we reiterate all the things in our system. These are the invisible thing in the manufacturing company, but we do it, right? Otherwise our problems never solved it. It doesn't happen that customer never pays it. It happens that customer pays it late because whatever the gaps are there, documentation issues are there, we solve it. So that is a kind of a iteration also. The recorrection is a iteration, right? So that is a course correct. So growth financing is a business capability, systematic planner, secure finance faster on better terms. Let me tell you, once you have this in place, securing the finance is not a bigger task for you, because now you have growth in place, you have strategy in place, you have the entire system in place, you have the monitoring in place, you have ensured that every decision making is aligned to your ambition, your growth plan, growth target. So there are the very less chances that can still go wrong, right? So what happens is that base this becomes a capability, and this become very easy to fund it. So improve. So any questions now on this part?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So improve cash before borrowing. Now you are going to borrow. Now you understand the finance, you understand the cash flow, you understand your business need. You shortlist your instruments. So now you have the wider view of how my finance work. You have the wider view of how numbers work. You have the wider views of the tools available in case something goes not the way you expected it. You also have now the system in place, you also have the budget in place, you also have your team in place which you ask to follow these practices, discipline it. Anything coming up 4 5 weeks later, alert me now, so I could make as a founder, as a business person, which continuously in discussion with the customer and opportunities. I could find out time to address any adverse situation on the financial front, right? And then course correct it. So improve cash before borrowing. The cheapest source of growth financing is the cash already trapped inside your business, and we saw that one, right? How we released 71 lakh rupees by just improving our KPIs. So who's financing your customer? Can you imagine who's financing your customer? When you are giving a credit, of 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, sometime you are okay with the 120 days, and that happens in the manufacturing companies, particularly some OEMs are really difficult to handle it. Who's financing? You are financing it. You are financing it. you know and that you must understand that part, and that is why the quality decision making is important. We Customer is king. Customer first, customer orientation. We have so many motivational training on part of the customer. So many times we don't give the preference to our requirement, every time customers comes into the picture, right? But As far as the cash is concerned, I can tell you the successful person how they do it, and multinational companies how they do it. You know, they do all the things required for the customer. Many times they give extra discount also. And I'm a pricing expert, and I have worked in the pricing extensively overseas. So they really give 5% extra discount if some customer want it. But when it comes to cash, nothing. First is advance. Okay, if not advance, milestone based billing. If not milestone billing, against delivery, you know or maximum 30 days. So I mean, this is the way they work it, and that is why you are financing the customer. If you are giving them the credit, or let's put it this way, if customers cash cycle is lower than yours, like we have seen the 67 days of cash cycle in this example. So let's understand that is your cash cycle. And if your customer cash cycle is 50 days, then it means that you are giving them the 17 days of finance. you know Now customer won't reveal his cash cycle to you, but there are the ways to understand this part, and that is why very important to understand that whenever you are extending a credit, you are financing your customer, right? The hidden bank inside your business, right? The business growth, cash blocked, we know. Operational fix, we see it in the excel file also, 67 days to 54 days, and then again falling back to 88 days. Cash raises, less borrowing. So what happens? Inventory, excess stocks gets cash blocked. Improvement opportunity, better demand planning. Release impact very high. I can tell you one example. One company is having a 16 crore of the raw material, but they could turn around only finished goods of the 4 crore. What happened? The wrong inventory built up. And now we are releasing that part of it, and there is a substantial improvement in that part. Receivables, slow collections, faster follow-up is required, because we don't have that culture of the customer follow-up in our companies, in our organization. Many times salespeople ask to slow down. Many times customer asks so many questions before, when we go to the collection, and that slows down the collection. But no, you should have a policy that the person, credit collection person, along with the sales, have the responsibility to collect it as per our terms and conditions. And this is where that many companies lags behind. But there is a very good credit policy. You can prepare it. They have the credit limit, they have the credit period, and that's it. If you do that one, you can get cash surplus. Which a manufacturing company should look to the service companies. Service companies has a less problem with the cash flows. When they are expanding too fast, because services scale up too fast, then they have that problem. But generally, on a operational level, service companies have a lesser problems, right? Production, long cycle time. Lean execution is required in a production that releases the cash. Procurement, early payments, better supply terms, it releases the payment. Extra discount, if you have the 60 days of the payment terms or 45 days with the supplier, you ask them a 1% discount, and take the payment whenever you have the cash. They will be happy to give you the 1% discount, and then 1% discount, for that 10 days of the payment release. You can calculate how much that cost you on a yearly basis, 12-month basis. You will surprise with that one, right? Before borrowing, find the cash already trapped inside your operation. So what happens is that your finance person has to work around this one, where the cash is trapped and how much cash you can release it, and that will help you to go to the bank. Three levers that releases cash: inventory, receivables, payables. These we saw it, in earlier example, right? So inventory, you can reduce it with better demand planning. Receivable days, strong collection discipline. Payable days, negotiate supply terms. So each lever is an operational decision. No new capital required to improve the cash conversion cycle. Live cash release simulation. So before, we saw that one 20 crore revenue, 60 and 67 days of inventory, 45 days of receivable days, and 45 days of payable. And later, we improved our KPIs. And then what we saw that 71 lakh rupees is released. So it's a pure operational discipline, nothing else. We haven't changed anything in that example, and that happens it. Believe me, I have 25 years of the experience in working with this situation, and every time I'm succeeded by a strong management support and by a strong discipline actions. So founder cash control dashboard, cash balance, check it daily. Collections daily, weekly, whatever you can possibly look into it. Payments daily, weekly. Inventory weekly, monthly. Receivables weekly, monthly. So you can look into it. So before applying to for additional finance, ask, can inventory be reduced? Can receivable be collected earlier? Can supply terms improve? Can billing happen faster? Can slow moving stock be liquidated? So what happened with this one actually, you will take the internal exercise. You will find out that internally there is a lot of cash trap, because there is no point in taking additional loan, because then that additional loan also, suppose you have the 5 crore loan, you are applying for another 2 crore loan. Then if this is the process, then what happened that another 2 crore, some part of that another 2 crore loan is going to again trapped it up, right? So effective utilization of additional 2 crore would not be 2 crore. It could be in the range of 1 crore to 1.5 crore. So again, you are trapping a cash. That's why this improvement, this exercise, this understanding, you can improve it. It's very important. A founder who monitors cash daily needs to borrow less and negotiate better when they do it. Right. So financing options. What are the financing options are available? How much should you actually finance? Correct. So growth financing landscape, internal accruals, typical use that is for daily operations, all stages of the business. You don't have to dilute anything with internal accruals. Supplier credit, inventory, business stage is growing. You don't have to dilute anything. Cash credit overdrafts, working capital operating stage, no dilution. Invoice discounting is required in receivables, factoring and trades. No dilution. Term loan, no dilution. SIDBI, CGTMC scheme, no dilution. Venture debt, angel, VC, scale up, high growth, use, startup, scale up, venture debt, equity, yes, venture debt depends, because generally venture debt works with the startups. And the startup companies are very much the target of the venture debt and angel and VC. So ask not which loan is cheapest, ask which financing matches the business requirement. If you have the very good company growing very fast, and additional scaling up, additional network help you to grow from 3x to 5x, it is better to take the VC on board, because they like those kind of the businesses. You have to dilute, yes, but what happened ki your business will grow 5x faster, and that will help you to capture the market. And once that is done, then you can build a company on top of that one, the way you wanted it. So inventory generally, I mentioned, it's a short term. So recommended instrument is cash credit, receivable is invoicing, discounting, export orders is export finance. It is called a packing credit finance in Indian terminology. Machinery is term loan, technology internal expense term loan, high growth scaling is the equity, and venture debt. See, mismatching finance duration to asset life creates a avoidable cash stress, align things well. Suppose you take a machinery, you wanted to take a machinery and you finance that from cash credit. What happened ki your cash credit immediately depletes it, and you need that cash credit for your operation. And machinery is not going to deliver you any additional revenue immediately in short term. It takes time to deliver that, right? So that mismatch is not right, and that is why these different instruments are created as a part of the disciplining the financial decision making. This one. Okay. So financial decision framework. Growth. There is a growth opportunity. I need a fund. Internal cash, does internal cash available? Does working capital or long-term loan available? What could be the right instrument for me? Okay, you can ask it. Can internal cash fund it? And you if you have that confidence, then you can use that funding and evaluate external funding once again. Is the requirement temporary? If the requirement is temporary, adjust with the working capital finance. Many times it happens in a short time, the order picks up, inventory picks up, some customer requirement picks up, you does that part, but those are temporary, those going to go away between 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. And then there is a overdraft also, banks provide it as additional working capital, because anyway your billing is increased, right? So you have additional limit, and with the right consultation with the bank, they give you additional overdraft. Is an asset being created? If asset is being created, machinery, technology, then it requires a term loan. Is rapid scaling the objective? Then the equity and venture debt is the requirement. So these four questions guide every financing decision. Answer them before approaching any lender. So you could have this exercise, build your financing mix. Working capital, how much is the amount, what is the duration, recommended source, machinery. So you do this exercise, put this thing into perspective, have this in diary, and then you will your financial strategy will emerge automatically. Whenever you have the business opportunity, when you are discussing about business opportunity, you could make a habit that, okay, now I have the business opportunity, how my finance is going to support that one. So you could put it this one, and this would be a fantastic habit. And then I can tell you, this small habit will change your company's decision. So now this is the venture profile created. The same thing, a business template has given to you by Liftoff. So I have put it in the PPT also, and the Excel file also. So I'm sure you have filled that one. Okay. So now this is the one page growth financing plan. You can also do it. Internal cash available, external funding requirement, prefer financing mix, timeline to secure funding, primary lender investor target. Remember the one pager canvas, we see it in working capital requirement earlier, right? So such 2, 3 one-page plans will become your financial strategy from the founder's point of view, and that will make you a very stronger pitch to understand business in every situation, to understand the financial requirement in every situation, and to additionally tell your people in the company, employees in the company, how do you see the financing. And that is a very different impact in the company. When the founders, business owners, states key what is their requirement and how they look into this one, immediately employee gets adjusted to that one, and automatically the discipline follows. So, growth financing readiness scorecard. This is another one, you can keep it in your diary. Growth strategy, is the growth direction clear and quantified? You can assess it yourself. Revenue forecast, are assumption realistic and documented, right? And then that doesn't surprise later. Working capital planning, is the working capital cycle understood and managed? Is that 67 days of the working capital cycle right, or it could be reduced? Or suppose I go aggressive, could it be more than that one? And how much that impact? So you can assess that one. Cash flow planning, is 13-week cash flow forecast in place? So 13-week cash flow and 24 weeks cash flow. For companies who manage better and discipline, they do 13-week cash flow. For those companies which are under stress, they do 24 weeks cash flow, because they get additional 90 days to work on that part. That is a cash flow planning. Financial discipline, are books clean up and up to date? Is your inventory right? Is your receivable right? Have you collected some money but not adjusted against the receivable? That happens many times. Documentation, are financial GST and back statements ready? So this could give you the very good confidence. Okay, how I am ready, even I want to go to the bank today. Right, and let me tell you that doesn't require much more time. So if you send if you could spend 1 or 2 days with your finance people and put this up, this will make you very confident to speak to bank about your requirement. Okay, so present your financing blueprint, business logic, funding logic, financing mix, and this is what the bank people are asking right now. Earlier, they were used to ask only the statements, and that was explained by the finance person or the CAs. But now they are asking more questions. So, right capital, right growth, right time. That is the discipline that separates great founders from the rest. So growth financing, growth equity, and what comes next. Here I will take you to the more of the investor readiness part of it. So far, any questions from your side?
No, thanks.
Yeah, okay. Whether the debt or equity, which one is the right thing to do it? Financial leverage. What is the leverage? Uh, uh, how much loan you are having it, how much loan you are having it against the your EBITDA, whether you are able to pay EBITDA, whether you are to repay the interest plus debt from your cash flow, from your profit. That is the leverage. If you are having, you can't pay it, it means that you are having excess leverage, and that is not good in the financial terms. And the another part is the investor readiness. So what investor looks in the companies when they are ready for the growth financing or equity financing, uh, that part. So which capital should you raise for the growth? You have the business growth, you need a capital. Can the business repay from cash flow? Yes, debt, no equity. So if you have the enough cash flow, raise a debt, so you don't have to dilute it. And that is enough to get the funding from that one. So the manufacturing company can take term loan, and technology startup can take angel funding here. So in angel funding, that is a part of the equity. The reason is simple, that because technology startup doesn't have the past history, which is required in the bank loan procedures, right? So in a debt financing, what happened that you have the complete ownership, you don't have to dilute anything. EMI repayment, yes, interests are fixed. Investor involvement is low. Best for working capital and machinery. Cost of capital is lower. Business control is founder retains the control. But in equity financing, that is not the case. You have to dilute. There is a no interest payment, no EMI repayment, but investor involvement is high. He will take some of the business decisions from you. Best for high growth technology, new markets companies, and particularly some of the D2C companies are the part of this process, equity financing. SaaS companies also. Cost of capital, higher cost of capital, because you are diluting one. Second thing, you are committing also with a term sheet. You are committing also how much you are going to pay that one. Business control is shared. So the question is that would you dilute 20% equity or pay 11% interest? The honest answer depends on your business stage. So if you are in a growth stage, if you are in a scaling stage, if you have the business opportunity, if you have the business potential to grow faster and faster, I mean 20% equity dilution could work in your way, because you are growing faster, you are generating profitability higher, you are generating a cash flow higher, and you are taking a market share quite quickly. So what it means that your business situation is going to be very stable in a 3 to 5 years time. So that pays you back. If that is not the case, you are a stable business, you want your sales cycle is long, like manufacturing. Okay, stick it to the debt financing. Now, some of the manufacturing companies also getting the growth finance, particularly in the advanced technology and advanced machine manufacturing, like CNC machines. They are also getting the growth financing, but those are the owners' decisions. what exactly they want to do it. That one. So working capital generally prefers debt. Scalable innovation generally attracts equity. So anyone who wants to grow 5x, the equity could be the route for them. How debt can improve shareholders return. So current structure, let's say 80 lakhs and EBIT 10 lakhs, so net profit 10 lakhs, so return on equity is 12.5 percent here in this case. Now proposed structure, let's say equity, we are diluting the equity, right? We are taking a debt. EBIT is 10 lakh, interest is 2.5 lakhs, net profit is 7.5 lakhs. So by making the equity debt combination, we are increasing the return on equity. Why? Because the interest is tax free in any part of the world. So that gives you the tax rebate, and that increases your return of equity, and that very much fancies the investors. So then they are ready for the equity participation. So you have currently 100% equities, but later the restructuring happen is with the 69% equity and 31% debt. And this is a very good calculations done by the financial model or valuation like us, which tells you the strength of your businesses, and which make simulations what you are looking for and how your future business looks when you take a debt and when you take the equity financing. Okay. uh, so this is the way the calculations happens is in the growth financing. See, growth financing is always the equity financing, and equity financing is always done by VC, sometimes HNI and family offices. When will investor fund your growth? And this is where you can assess yourself. We have seen several slides about the self assessment, and this is a self assessment. What investor looks into you? What investor looks into your businesses? What kind of assessment investor does when they get a balance sheet from the company? Six gate every investor walks through before a term sheet appears. Large market, is there a good market potential, right? The D2C business in India right now having a very good market, so they are the attraction of the investors. SaaS companies having the attraction of the investors, because the digitization theme is increasing, because the software tools in on a cloud is increasing, so those companies are having a very good traction. Strong product. Does your company have strong products, compared to the market, compared to the that meets customer demand? Scalable business model should be scalable, like a D2C business. In D2C business, what happen? You have the one hero product, and then from that you can become a category leader. So you can become a category leader from one category to another category. So by becoming a category leader of 10-15 crore market, and having 4-5 different categories, you could immediately enter into the 100 crore business. SaaS, number of customer acquisitions. If you have the today 50 customers on board, and if you make it 200, 300, automatically the scaling up happens very fast. So that is your scalable business model. Subscription is a scalable business model. E-commerce is a scalable business model. In a manufacturing also there are the scalable model. If you take AMCs, if you take the install based selling, you have so many machines installed in the market, but many times we ignore the services after sales, right? That is quite scalable. That one. And if you see all the GCCs in India, global capability centers in India, what they are doing it, majority of doing the servicing their install base revenues. I have worked in the multinational companies, so I have worked a lot on the services part of in the manufacturing companies also. So scalable business model. Unit economics positive. What is unit economics? In manufacturing we called it EBITDA, right? Or gross margin, let's say, between that one CM1 contribution. And in startup world it is called a unit economics, means that key per unit, what is your sales price and what is your cost price, and your unit economics is positive. Then what is it? It means that key per piece, per part, per product, you have cracked the code of the profitability. Then it is only question of how many number of the product you sell it, how many number of the how many number of the acquisition you do it, customer acquisition do it, because now you have the positive unit economics. So you just multiply it, number of customer, number of product sale, number of platforms, and then you can scale it up with that unit economics, positive unit economics. Strong founder team, this is also true in case of the manufacturing companies. They look into the founder team, what experience they are having it, whether their experience is complementary to the business strategy, whether they can scale it up, or whether they have the dependency on the external expertise. They look that part of it. Banks are also looking that part nowadays. In fact, I would tell you that government has some schemes for the goods, very relevant founders, like a food processing industry. If any food expert, food technologist starting their business in food, then they are having a one scheme, specifically that one with a lower interest and higher outlay. And even they are the first time business, they get that scheme. Same thing for the technologies, deep tech technologies. So that is how that founder team is linked. Governance ready. Governance is very much important for the investor, for the banks. That we everything has to be clean. Balance sheet has to be clean. Profit and loss account has to be clean. Our articulation has to be clean. Our working with the customers, suppliers has to be very high standard. The Our business must have the robust policies. Our business must have the robust internal controls. Our businesses must have the credit policy in effect. Our business policy must have the internal HR policies. What this shows, this they are not interested in that document, what is written, or whether that document they want to compare it. No, what it means that, two things. One is that in any case, this company is ready to perform under any kind of the situation, whether founder is available or not available, whether founder is on 1 month foreign tour, or whether founder is looking for the another business to launch it up, or another product to launch it up, or another project he's busy, whether his team is going to carry the business without any risk. And that is what the governance is all about it. So if you see this evaluation criteria, you do it yourself, then you will find out self you do the self assessment, and probably you will find out where you are right now. So investors do not invest because you need money. They invest because your business can multiply their business, right? Business strategy leads to revenue growth. Revenue growth leads to working capital. Working capital leads to growth financing. Growth financing leads to financial discipline. Because remember, when the investor comes on the board, they take the controls from you, as we mentioned in earlier slide. Then it increases the investor confidence, and it increases the valuation. Remember, I mean, you will find out this is very strictly controlled, but look at the fruit. The fruit is your valuation. Your valuation goes very high. You get a very good value for the business you have built. You get a very good valuation, return on your money, return on your passion from the investor community. And that is where the entire thing stop up. Many times, if some of the businesses want to have the exit, they can have the very honorable exit. Ki, I got so much of the valuation. And this is very much popular in the Western country. In India, it is not yet. But look, all these things leads to a better valuation. Better valuation means less dilution. Less dilution means you have more control. You have more control means that, despite taking the finances, despite growing the businesses, despite investor having on board for 4 5 years, you are having a very good business after their exit. And that is the fruit you will be having it. So that's why don't treat this is a very much tightening you up. No, look at this last line of the valuation. That will give you all these things, will give you that higher valuation. So bank and investor ready. So we have spoke about the banks. So they look into ability to repay, cash flow, working capital discipline, debt service capacity. You should be able to pay interest. You should be able to repay their debt. So that is, and that should come from your profitability. They look into that. Financial controls, existing banking behavior. They look into your civil score, collateral wherever applicable, compliance means the governance. So good businesses raise money, great businesses choose the right capital, right? Usme. And then executive growth financing proposal. So again, they need a deck from us. Company overview, growth opportunity, funding requirement, internal cash, external fundings. So this is the deck they require it, and generally, we as a financial modeler we prepare it, or sometime your CA prepares this part. This one, 90 days growth financing roadmap. So you could build foundation today, validate assumption, update revenue plan, complete workbook which has given by lift up to you, revenue forecast, funding gap, CCC baseline. So you could start it here. Optimization, improve inventory collections, supplier terms, evaluate financing obsession. So you could have your self execution, optimization of the working capital, and then you propose and execute this part. So this is very much possible for you, if all the pieces of that puzzles falls in line. This is very much possible for you to execute in 90 days in your company. A well prepared business interest financing discussion with confidence, because the numbers support that strategy. So founder toolkit, business planning, already given by Liptop. Financial planning, we just discuss it right now. Operational control, we discuss, the budgets, the policies, the governance part of it. Financing and execution, decision matrix, bank investor checklist. So these are the toolkits, right? So business first and finance follows. So business growth, cash discipline, growth financing, and there is a sustainable enterprise. So can you explain your readiness, that your 5 crore requirement in 3 minutes? You know, so can you explain some of you, please? Hello.
Uh, I think
So,
Vijay is, yeah.
okay. Actually, I'm in the service business.
Yeah.
We do rental service of construction equipments, centering and scaffolding items. Uh, we are we have a model of creating branches in specific places.
Hmm.
So that's how we work, and we want to create additional branches or new branches in new areas. For
Yeah.
that only, we need uh, funding. After attending your class, I will try to evaluate whether I need working capital loan or some other instruments. But I'm not interested in going to VCs and other things.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. Right.
but the examples that you have given is more for a manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Actually, our inventory is only our business is asset rich inventory, asset rich business.
Yeah.
So if we have 1 crore worth of material, only then we will be able to run that branch, and we will get that capital amount in 4 to 5 years. So
Yeah.
what can you suggest for me, the better instrument?
See, in this case, you have the two kinds of the requirement. One is that you are procuring the whatever the tools required upfront, right?
Hmm.
And that is a capex for you. One,
Yes,
right? That is a capex for you, and for that part of it, term loan is the right thing, because yeah, your ROI is going to delay it, right? Because
yes,
you may be taking these instruments to 10 cities, 10 branches, and then they will deliver the business, in a due time, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, right? So you have the first requirement of the capex, and the term loan is the best thing. Second thing, You also have the additional capital requirement, because what is happening is that when you are taking this asset, into different branches, those are sitting it there idle at least some point of time, correct? Those are not continuously busy. Even for the construction, let's say you go to the one side, and if you do between two slabs, one slab and next slab, correct? Then it has its own cycle, maybe 7 days or maybe 14 days. It depends on the technology, and some architect will use that one, right? So for the remaining part of it remains idle. For the logistic part of it remains idle, right? What can be seen is that your asset return, let's say take an additional thing, is that during a monsoon, generally the construction sites are not working, right? So it means that, let's say that your asset is producing the return only 6 months of the time, for the purpose of the simple discussion, right? It may be 6, it may be 7, it may be 9, depending on that one, right? uh, uh, so uh, so what happen is that then your return on that asset is lower. So how you are going to finance that part of it, correct? So you have to generate a higher revenue during that period of time, and that requires the additional working capital, right? For you, because you will be deploying a people along with that asset, to make it usable. Logistic is there, right? Then any breakup of those things, that will also create additional repair and damages and all those things. So we will require operational expenditure, and that has to be financed through internal cash. Remember, operational expenditure has to be financed from the your internal cash. It means that that your business model should be such, your revenue, you should be able to generate a revenue 12 months a time, and then majority of the operational expenditures comes from that revenue internal cash of it. So you don't require additional working capital to fund these kind of the expenses. Right. But you definitely require a capex that can be financed through the term loan one. And suppose your site is strong, and if you are taking the some advance from because you are acting as a contractor, if you are taking some advance from your tier one contractor or the original customer, then that reduces your operational cash requirement. Okay, and then you have the step, what you call milestone billing, correct? First slab, second slab, third slab, right?
No, no, we do cater to the residence projects only. We don't cater to the commercial ones. That
Okay,
that is
okay.
what you are saying. Because the big construction, they have their own materials. They don't
Hmm,
hire from us.
hmm.
Because hiring is costing more for them than acquiring their own material,
Okay.
because it's a big project. So our business model works only for the residential projects.
Hmm,
Some cases, if it is less than say 50,000 square feet building, then they will get it from us. For
hmm.
large apartment, other things they don't hire because it costs their money. So they don't hire; they will buy their own.
Yeah.
Uh, my question to you is, as you have said, working capital is the right instrument for me. I agree that, but that working capital required for one branch, the bank will fund only for one branch.
Yeah.
But for the next branch, I don't have enough money, so the scaling is stopped. So in that case, what can we do? If I want to open more branches in a quick span of time,
Hmm.
if the bank funds for one or two branches, then that is not enough for quick scale
No.
up.
No, no. In that case, what happen is that you have to create a central banking system in your head office, and then because all these assets are sitting in your own balance sheet, right? Whatever you purchase it. So based on that one, we can do the revenue forecasting for the each branches, and then what happens is that we go to the head office branch, and then we ask them to this facility available across all the branches. So that is a part of the initial proposal. We have to do it. If you haven't done it, you re strategize your financial strategy. You go to the bank saying that ki, my business is generated from these 10 cities, 10 branches, or 10 regions, different thing. And my asset is the balance sheet, and revenue is coming from the different sources. Right. So I need the financing for all the asset and branch expansion, which is already the part of the term loan. What they will do is that they will sanction you the 10 crore term loan. Let's say, for example, for the purpose of the discussion right now, or take an example that they will sanction you 2 crore if you go for the term loan, and that 2 crore will be available to you irrespective of the branch. It doesn't have any branch. It doesn't have any branch restriction. I could understand that part from the banking perspective because they want to have a lien on that asset. So I could understand that part, and sometime that they create this kind of the situation. We will do branch wise, but if you
No,
approach.
they are not doing branch wise. They do assess by our turnover. Say
Right.
if my turnover is 2 crore, they only fund 30 to 40 percentage, not more than that. Since my assets are not fixed assets, it's a moving assets. So they don't rely on the, if it is fixed asset, then they will give me more.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why banks are not giving me enough money. Of course, they do give money, but that is not enough because
Okay.
they have their own rules and other things.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. In this case, there are the solutions for the project financing companies, because you are acting as a project finance, moving from one place to another, and EPCs also. There are some solutions for that one, and specific schemes are there. We could look into that one, then further guide you. But actually, generally, what happen is that if you are a growing company at this stage, the bank seems to be little conservative, but that can be done on the basis of the cash flow also. Because
Yeah, our cash flow is really good.
yeah, then they can do the cash
We are
flow
cash
also.
flow positive company.
Hmm.
Actually, we get advance from the contractor, only then we will deliver the material to them.
Yeah.
So
There
we
are
have good positive cash flow.
there are the two instruments. One is cash flow financing, and second is also the billing financing. Because once the contractor pays you the advance, let's say 50,000 rupees for a 2 lakh rupee job, right? So that means you are going to generate that 2 lakh rupees later, with the 50,000 advance now, and 1.5 lakh rupees later, right? So that is also the milestone based billing based financing is also there. That option is there for you.
Our customers are
So one
not
second,
B2B.
Sanjay
Yeah,
and Vijayarajan, I think in the interest of time and others, I think
yeah,
it
yeah. Okay,
is
okay.
we are moving in one direction for a long time, and we have to consider others. So Vijayarajan,
Yeah, we
my
will take
my
it. We can
suggestion to
take.
you is when you go through all these, probably you can book 1 hour time with Sanjay and deep dive into this, because I'm sure whatever we talk, we cannot reach to the conclusion right now in this session, right? So it would be better if we can have this in a one-to-one session, and uh, we are like left with some 7-10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no problem. No
Can I
problem.
ask a question?
Yeah.
I heard that equity is the most expensive capital. Is
Huh?
that true? And it is why? Can you explain?
Yeah, equity is the expensive because what happen, it takes a risk, higher risk than a debt, right? And the one second thing is that whenever the things goes wrong, investor have the last chance. Debtors gets the first chance, creditor gets the first chance, and the equity investor has a last option. So many times they don't get their funds back if something goes wrong. So it is called a risk capital, and because of the risk capital terminology, it is costly. Yeah.
Sir, from the founder perspective, how to avoid this, to make this as like for example, you said we discussed about the most expensive capital is the equity. From the founder's perspective, how to avoid this risk? Because I believe most of the people will be going for venture capitalists in the future. If you throw some light on that,
See, one part that if you look back, what I mentioned it is here, the decision making. These are the things. If you're confident about these things, you assess yourself. You are confident about these things. Then the equity investment matters more, because the if you have all these six things in your packet, then probably you don't need to worry about the what investor is asking about it, because you will get much more in the valuation part of it. That is one part. Second part is that many times you require this capital, private capital, because you don't have any option, particularly in the startup world, right? Third thing is that you try to grow as much as possible with your bootstrapping, and probably some venture debt, and delayed the equity investment. So that is in your hand, but then that reduces the growth rate. So it is a trade-off between the higher growth rate and a dilution, or lower growth rate and no dilution.
oh, beautiful. Thank you. 2
Okay.
points I have taken. The
Yeah.
trade-off between the higher growth rate and the dilation, and the one thing which you're talking about, the valuation. If the valuation is
Right.
high, you can go hard. Correct? Yeah.
Right, right,
Thank you.
right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So now remaining slides are the exercises coming from the Excel file. I have put it because don't need to move from one file to another. So I have put it here. But let me yeah. So this is the one page canvas for the financial strategy.
Sir, one
Yeah,
last thing you
here.
said for the services you are going to share. Can you please?
Yeah, yeah. So this is the export-led growth. So you could look into the this part later. So what the canvas required in the export-led growth. Second is a domestic market expansion. What could it require? HVAC, agri, retail, machinery, LED lighting, fittings, flooring, medical devices. Then this is about the new product or new channel expansion. What it require, where the capital consumes. Capital goods and machinery, this is for the machinery and equipment companies, where the capital get consumed and what it tells. This is about business building and construction product. What are the levers, happens in the construction product, and where the working capital is spread. This is about technology, healthcare, and agri. What are the growth moves, what are the cash pressure point, and what is the financing fit in this canvas. Sorry, but it is not having the specifically for service. But yeah, Vijay, I'll do that one, and I will send you. Don't worry.
Yes, I'll share.
Working capital and growth. You can again, you have the self assessment. You can do it for your business. Irrespective of the whatever the sector. So I have given this template to you. You know. Uh, uh, so it can be done, and there are the many tables and exercises given it here.
So just for the I'll emphasize what we are seeing here. Everything is available in the exercise. I mean the workbook, right?
Yes, yes.
So wherever Sanjay said lift off already given to you, that means it is already there in the workbook. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Thank you,
Naveen.
you. Thank
everyone.
you. My
Thank you.
pleasure,
Bye.
everyone. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, Sanjay.
Okay.